Do you love breakdowns? Do you need stats? Do you crave insight? Download the AllStar app. UFC, Bellator, PFL 1 Championship, and more. Ad-free, fully customizable. Download the best app in the business. Link in descriptions. All right, so UFC 280, Charles Oliveira, Islam Makhachev. I feel like this is probably one of the most hyped fights of the year, and they're fighting for the vacant lightweight title. Thoughts on what Oliveira has been able to do in the last few years?
Nothing short of amazing. I mean, look at where his career was, right? I mean, it might be one of the best stories that I can think of. I mean, he was not the most highly touted guy. He had lost a bunch of fights in a row, and all of a sudden he just had this turnaround. I mean, it's nothing short of amazing. Um, and he just seems like a genuine dude, right? Like, so I just think people want him to win. The fight itself, obviously, it's tough. I mean, you're talking about a Makhachev who's his MMA grappling is just insane, right? His top pressure is fantastic. He's always taking away your high side or your low side, meaning he's always riding a wrist or he's always riding a high the leg, right? So he's leg riding you and taking wrists away. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like a wet blanket and it never seems to go away. No matter where you move, it just seems like he's always following you. But then you have a guy like Charles who is probably has the best jujitsu for MMA, right? Like he just has this weird uncanny ability to chain things in chaos where most people can't. Like when things are flying and punches are coming, he has that uncanny ability to chain attacks, submission attacks that better than I've ever seen. I think it has one of those weird things where if Charles wins, I think it's going to be early. If it's later, I think the advantage goes to Makhachev. I think his gas tank will be better in that type of fight. So my prediction, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Charles Oliveira wins within 2 rounds and he pulls off some crazy submission or clips Makhachev on his feet and TKOs him. So I'm going to go with Charles. I know people are probably like, oh my God, you're fucking crazy. But I'm going to say in the second round, Charles wins.
People will point to the Paul Felder fight where Paul Felder was able to survive some submission attempts and then sit in the guard and elbow Oliveira's face off basically and
Sure.
TKO him, right? Do
Yeah.
you see that? Do you see that as a possibility in this fight?
100%. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's, his MMA, his pressure on top and his ability to avoid a lot of those things is. I don't know that there's anyone better. I think he might even be better than Khabib for crying out loud. I don't know, but yeah. But I mean, and also, but how long ago was that fight against Paul Felder?
Years ago.
Right, exactly. So Charles Oliveira has developed and changed tremendously since then. I don't think he would make that same mistake by sitting in those positions where Makhachev is going to have the ability to just rain down elbows.
In the striking, the style of striking that Oliveira possesses, what do you see in him that's different? Is he just like sitting down on his punches much more? Is it his confidence in the striking? What is it? Because he's going in there and knocking out strikers.
Yeah, 100% confidence, right? If you don't have self-belief, I don't care who you are, you're not going to go anywhere. And his self-belief, I think, is through the roof right now. But his timing and his accuracy right now seems to be just so on point, right? He just doesn't seem to miss. So I think you take the level of confidence that he has, coupled with his newfound accuracy. The guys are just having a hard time. And then the fact that his ground game is so good, it makes his striking even better, right? Because guys get a little bit nervous, like, oh shit, what am I going to do, right? I'm really going to try to take him down, and then he snatches your neck, right? Like, so I think you take those 3 things: his confidence, his timing and accuracy right now, and the fact that guys are so nervous about taking him down. Now, I don't think Makhachev will be, but up to that point, up to this fight, I think those 3 things really play a factor. And I think it could play a factor in this fight. That's why I'm saying Oliveira is going to win inside too.